Listen up, folks. Big news in the prison, just like Fat Dun said. There was a riot. Thank goodness Eugene showed up to save the day, and Jimmy and Fat Dun weren't collateral damage. The two obediently went to their rooms. Jimmy lay on his bed, and Fat Dun, like a child, asked if they could reconcile. Fat Dun was aware of the boundaries, so they returned to their friendship. With the cafeteria damaged, the uninvolved prisoners turned into janitors. While working, they chatted about childhood. Fat Dun slipped into memories, revealing his unhappy childhood as his father ran a business caring for the depressed. His dad could also take Fat Dun to graveyards to loot valuables like buttons, brooches from corpses. The gems were priceless. A gold ring he couldn't remove, then scissors flew down and he checked his fingers. Dad was buzzing with impatience, urging him to hurry up. So, the boy passed the loot back to his dad, and together they filled in the dirt. But the crow's cock caught his attention. He thought, what fun, and jumped back into the pit as if forgetting something. He was grinning like a fool with his treasure. That was the little Fat Dun. After sharing his story, Fat Dun wanted to hear Jimmy's. Jimmy's story took a darker turn when, at 14, he had a showdown with his dad. But he got beat up and suffered a concussion. His mum just said, "You've made your bed, now lie in it," and left. Fat Dun asked Jimmy if he'd ever considered killing him. Jimmy honestly said, "Just for a sec, I thought about pushing you down the stairs." Just at this moment, the bell in the cell suddenly rang out, and the two of them stood side by side immediately. Then Fat Dun revealed something that left Jimmy deeply shocked, and at that very instant it seemed as though a trace of pain flickered across Fat Dun's face. SHH at that very instant. There's no love lost between us, but that's exactly what Jimmy wanted to hear. And this was Jimmy's first piece of evidence here. The next day, Fat Dun met with his brother, who clearly knew something. His brother told Fat Dun the police were at home every day, digging up evidence. Fat Dun shrugged it off, thinking he was about to be understood. His brother got the hint. Fat Dun was saying he was about to be freed. And Fat Dun exuded confidence, yeah. After last week's prison riot, he got in trouble, facing stares everywhere. Eugene didn't get what he needed. So, he spread rumors that Jimmy was the riot snitch. He needed the sole contact to resolve this. Unfortunately, he never saw that contact again. Instead, a new doctor came, whom he mistook for the contact. He tried to probe a bit, but found out they only had a doctor-patient relationship. But what followed was completely puzzling. The doctor asked Jimmy to promise not to threaten his patients, but when Jimmy asked who it was, the doctor just wouldn't say. The next day, Buddy Fat Dun invited Jimmy for a chat. But every time they got to the good stuff, Fat Dun would set up his defense. He wanted Jimmy to go first with his tale, and then he would share. This time, just as Jimmy was finishing up his romantic escapades, Fat Dun got called away by Eugene, leaving Jimmy waiting for his chance. When he tried to contact his dad, no matter how many times he dialed, he couldn't reach the outside. The brooding Vincent behind him was getting a little impatient. Jimmy gestured for him to hang tight while dialing, but it was all in vain. Vincent finally blew up, but thankfully Jimmy managed to keep things under control as they returned to the cell. He wished to keep talking, but Fat Dun wasn't back. Then Eugene reminded him Fat Dun awaited in the woodshop. Fat Dun was actually whittling away. There was a wooden bird on the table, a piece he intended to send home, and Jimmy asked what it was for. Fat Dun dodged the topic, asking Jimmy if he felt he'd offended someone. Jimmy seized the moment and lied. Eugene said that Fat Dun was in for violating constitutional rights for murder, while Jimmy merely disagreed a few times, thus pissing Eugene off. As they delved deeper. Subtitles. Fat Dun asked Jimmy about his dating history, which included 80 young women, mostly just for chatting. This time, it truly touched a chord with Fat Dun, as he had only ever had one girl he truly enjoyed chatting with, yet she ultimately turned out to be extremely rude. In the end, Fat Dun kissed her, but she rudely smacked his lips and cursed. So she had to use gasoline to knock her out. Then she described feeling like she was floating in the air. What a rare sensation. When she woke up, both of them were stripped bare, and she had no clue what had happened, but what really ticked her off was the girl, upon waking, tried to make her run for it. So, she took her to a tree, tied her up with a belt, and found a stick to jam in. All she needed to do was twist the stick, and the belt would tighten until the girl's voice disappeared. Back in, Jimmy felt his hard work was finally paying off, getting closer to the truth, while his old man also sensed that Jimmy was in hot water, but he felt helpless. If it weren't for that incident, they would be a happy family still. Now he's devoting all his energy to the case, not using his power, but the law to punish Fat Dun for his lost child. After route analysis, they found a gas station. The attendant said he wasn't local, and that he had only been there for half a year. In their chat, they discussed cars, and the attendant mentioned if they needed auto parts, there was only one shop in town. With a glimmer of hope, the two headed to that shop. Front desk old man was knitting as the man handed him a photo. He knew it was Fat Dun, but wasn't close. Fat Dun often came here to flirt with local girls, causing many to stop visiting the shop. This led the old man to kick Fat Dun out, and suspect he had some issues. Plus, Fat Dun had even tried to hit on his daughter. Hearing this, they wanted to meet her, but she'd return later. With the managers okay, they stayed. A few hours later, the old man's daughter met up with the two, reminiscing about the times Fat Dun had chased her before. Subtitles throw in a humorous ending, and hey, don't forget to subscribe.